Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
How about now?
Can now. That's better.
We're just waiting for Jackie. Here she comes.
Here comes Jackie.
She tried.
Hello, Jackie. Unmute yourself. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you right now. Oh my
The only
God.
thing we don't
Yeah, that's great.
we don't get audio from my engineer, but he and I are chatting. Apparently he lost his microphone today, so.
Oh.
Okay, Cam, just let me know when you start the feed.
Just chat. What's going on in chat? Okay. Oh, this is good. Thank you guys for having me on again.
Yeah.
We could. Well, this is my 5th show now, so I should be well practiced at doing video.
Mm-hmm.
We have a YouTube channel, and it's pretty cool. I'm starting to get into it. Still a little rusty, but starting to get into it.
Yeah, and by the way, you're wise to use Zoom. Skype, I've had 3 or 4 I've had to redo over, and I had problems.
Oh, well, I'm glad we're not the only one then.
It was really
Zoom
bad.
is way
Yeah, our last show was totally unusable.
Yep. I've had to redo 4 shows for people on Skype.
Wow.
That would be crazy. I don't like doing pre-records and doing a live show, and if you just don't capture the moment, then
Yeah. This is live, huh?
yes, it's
Oh,
live.
yeah.
So there's probably 3,000 to 5,000 people listening to the live show, but there's over 100,000 that will then get a link to the audio version. I don't know about Skype's getting more, my YouTube channel's getting more and more popular. So we'll see.
Bring it on.
It's all about love.
All about love. And I am just as much of a hot dog. The sort of guy in my high school that would just dribble behind his back just to hear the crowd. Give him a show. And give him something.
You know what? I think we are live. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Alan. It's another groovy day because I got up this morning and I said it's going to be groovy, and that's the way I start my day. As always, I like to get prepared for the show. You can see my 2 guests, well, my co-host and my guest are with me, but let's just take a minute and just consciously think about being connected to that which gives us power, whether that's God, Allah, whatever it is that you believe in. Just close your eyes for a second. If you're driving, don't do that, but just think about where it is that you get your power. It could be from the tree. It could be from the doorknob that you open to get into the next room. Whatever that is, just think about it. And let's take in a deep breath. And let that breath out with just a big ah. And just let your essence flow from your solar plexus up through your heart center, out of your speaker box, and right out into the universe. Just feel that. Now, this time, just get clear and focused and think of a couple things that you're grateful for. And just let that gratitude flow right up through you with a big ah, and let those dreams, visions, and goals and all that gratitude go out to the universe, God, Allah, whatever it is that you believe in, and allow it the opportunity to make those come true for you and to affirm that gratitude. There we go. I'm ready for the show. Let's see if Jackie is. Jackie, are you ready for the show? Good day, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This is like our 5th show where I have to put a nice shirt on and I can't be in my pajamas. And
well, at least from the waist
I still haven't got the makeup thing done. So how are things in Jackie Bailey's world? You've been working with the kids. It's winding down. must be a little bit of grief going on there to know that, oh man, I'm not going to see these kids anymore.
Yeah, unless they're coming for a summer camp. I probably won't see them till next fall. So it is a little bit exciting to think about all the things that they've learned and the experiences we've had together in 36 weeks or 36 classes. But it's also a little bit sad that, some of these kids may not come back, or they're going to move to a different school, or all kinds of things can happen in life. And I might not see them again. But, we'll see. That's life, I guess.
So I just want to hear a little bit, because I know you can tell some amazing stories, but I just want a little teaser, or maybe tell us a little bit about the difference that you've noticed in these kids.
Well, it's hard to really define and quantify, because it's little steps, and it's from class to class. But there are several students who, well, actually I have two extremes. I have one student who really was very shy, very quiet, probably a little bit afraid as well to get up and speak, who is now giving 4-minute speeches without any problem and comes up with the most amazing content. And his delivery still needs to be polished a little bit, but he's so creative in his thought processes. I have, contrary to that, is I also have another student who started the year very enthusiastic, no fear whatsoever of the stage, and was very dramatic when giving a presentation. And we've had to tamper that down a little bit to get him to control the emotions that he wants to show, because sometimes they were a little bit confusing and not always coherent with, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not always congruent with what he was actually saying.
High energy.
Yeah, and so we've had to tamper that down and shape him a little bit more into presenting in a calm manner, but letting there be a varied essence of his emotions. That sometimes, when you're talking about something important, you tamper it down. But other times, when it's exciting, then you can,
turn up the volume.
Yeah,
right?
So there's all kinds of different subtleties that they've learned, but it has definitely been obvious. And I always love the last week of the trimester, because the parents will come and they'll get to see what their students have done and the great strides they have made in their communication skills. So that's
I have to imagine that overall, just a sense of confidence has been built up in totally. And these kids don't get this kind of stuff from school.
They don't.
They get this kind of stuff from Jackie Bailey. Da, 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 da.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to encourage the listeners to go to JackieBaileySpeaks.com to find out more. She's got a summer class starting up. If you're in the Pacific Northwest or the Seattle area, I highly recommend that you check that out and consider it.
Thank you.
It would be like sending your kid through a transformation machine.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
Just put them in a machine and then get them out, and wow, look at this. Future president of the United States of America.
Well, the difference is a lot of parents their kids will come home from school and the parents will say, "Hey, how was your day?" And a typical reaction is, "Yeah, it was all right. It was fine. Whatever." But we've been talking about conversations and how saying, "Well, it's fine," is really not helping the conversation go any further, and is their responsibility to add to the conversation, and also to start conversations with people and not just say, "Hey, how you doing?" but actually find out what was the best part of their day, or, how are they feeling today, rather than how are you doing? How are you feeling? That kind of thing. So
that's a big one, right, Gary?
Yeah, we've had lots of exercise.
That's a big one.
About that. So it's not just public speaking, it's communicating all together, and even conversing with your parents.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I want to remind our listeners today that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net. We have a brand new website, still a couple things that we're working with, but it's really cool. I really like it. Do you like it, Jackie? It's
yeah, it looks fabulous.
If you click on hosts, you'll go to Jackie and myself, and her link is there, so you don't have to worry about writing down JackieBaileySpeaks.com. It's right there. While you're there, you can sign up for our newsletter. Jackie spends a lot of time every week creating a newsletter, and that newsletter highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show. And Jackie also creates a really cool blog post that kind of gives a synopsis of that week's show. So if you missed the show and you want to learn a little bit more, she really tries to entice you to go to the YouTube channel and actually listen to the show, or iHeartRadio. And I guess you go to YouTube and watch the show.
There you go.
Or you go to iHeartRadio and listen to the show, and vice versa. Oh my gosh, there's just too many parts to all of this. Okay, then. And to sign up for that newsletter, you can text, let's see,
Life Mastery Radio to 22828.
and bada boom, bada bang.
Life Mastery Radio. Yep, just like that, you're in.
And that list is growing, and so we really appreciate it. Big shout out to those that get the newsletter, and that's all we use that email address for. That's all. I'll let Jackie use that email.
No advertisements or anything like that. And it comes out once a week, so it's not too much in your inbox.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of cool, kind of cool. Okay, Jackie, you ready for the show? Look, he's sitting there so patiently.
I know. He's like, come on, get over the small talk. Let's get down to love. Here.
No, man. Small talk is good stuff. And I love what you're doing with emotion coaching.
Yeah.
That's the heart and soul of dealing with children. And it just so happens that the best spouses and people who feel love do a lot of emotion coaching with each other. That's adults.
I can see that.
Never outgrow that. That's
okay, so for our listeners that want to know who that guy is that's just been talking, I'll introduce him. Actually, we could just probably jump right in. But our guest today is Dr. Gary Salyer. And this is Gary's kind of his story, and this will be the lead in. After Gary's first divorce, he vowed that his next marriage would be different. I've done that too. So when his second marriage crumbled almost a decade later for nearly the same reasons, he was completely devastated. He felt like an utter and complete failure. But rather than give in, he was determined to find another way, and he came up with an insatiable desire, and he dedicated himself to doing a deep research about all things love. He read, researched, furthered his education in the field, talked to experts and to people he loved. Most of all, he did the deep transformation work that unlocked his heart and released his soul to love as he had always imagined. Love and how to make it lasting became his life's highest calling, not just for himself, but others. In doing so, he has developed a powerful and effective methodology to make it safe to love again for those who may have given up hope. And that's the name of his book, Safe to Love Again, How to Release the Pain of Past Relationships and Create the Love You Deserve. And there's a subtitle or a subtext that says, rewiring your brain to allow a safe, secure, and long-lasting love to be yours for singles and couples who have lost that passion, or they're looking for that passion, or Gary, I guess they just don't know what they don't know.
We don't know what we don't know. That's the problem with blind spots. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes it can really come back to haunt you. And that's what the book, so you would know what you don't know.
Right. Because we totally don't come into this world with the instruction manual, and sometimes, we're reading the wrong text, whatever it is, and wherever that came from, and you just need to kind of back up a little bit. And your work is really groundbreaking from what I understand, and right out of the gate, I'm really curious. The book's been out for a little while. It's brand new this year, but these thoughts and ideas and your model, let's say, was created over your experiences.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback are you getting from therapists and relationship experts? Have you hit this nail on the head, I guess is my question.
I would have to say yes. It's interesting you asked that question because just yesterday I was invited into a mastermind. Some people who are being trained as therapists in the Gottman method. And you know, what they wanted me to do was come in and present my new theory of attachment and relate it to what the Gottmans teach. I'm also trained by the Gottmans. And I mean, those therapists were writing down notes, you know, smiling. And immediately afterwards, the guy who had me on his mastermind group for an hour and a half said, wow, that was great, you know, super job. And, you know, because it all comes down to the earliest wiring for love is attachment. If you try to fix skills and, you know, you try to give it coaching and you don't fix that underwiring feelings that are prohibiting people from doing that thing in the first place, you know, you can't give somebody a right to assert, you know, skills to assert if the little one found out they would get beat if they said their own truth. That feeling of, oh, it's not safe comes to and then you wonder why this couple keeps relapsing or they keep
right.
And
well,
so,
and
yeah.
And I watched a video today, and I think you were talking Candace. You were talking to Candace.
Okay.
And you had this description of how love works. So I thought we would kind of open up the show, not necessarily how love works, but how relationships, that dynamic of, it's kind of like a ping pong game where you described it as a big circle. Mm-hmm. I do this, then you do that, and then I come back with this, and you do that, and then I'm all bent out of shape because you didn't do what I thought you were supposed to do. Maybe explain that for us just a little
bit. So let's get into the typical couple fight. This is exactly what they wanted me to explain yesterday. What's under the typical couple fight? What's underneath that bag of tea that's left on the counter? You know, or whatever.
That's a great description.
It seems like much to do about nothing. Sometimes it is much more serious. Let's admit that. So, you know, the common thing is there's the withdrawal pursuit pattern. Okay. So, you know, he withdraws when she makes a demand and she gets more demandy, right? This is the common one, right? Sometimes it's reversed. 85% of the men, a time that they're stonewalling in a relationship, that means you withdraw emotionally or physically. It's men. Let's just own up to that, right?
I've been there. I have been there.
We've all been there, man. Where's the gate out of Dodge?
Exit stage left.
So exactly. But we've all been there. And what's underneath that is what I call dueling missing rights. Now, remember in the book, I talk about there are rights that we are given for love or not given. Usually it's early in life, sometimes later in life. You know, let's say a right to have your needs met, a right to be a me in a supportive we, or a right to create your experience, or a right to assert your truth, and you have choice. Let's just zero in on those four. So what happens if somebody doesn't have a right to really belong, okay? And early in life, alcoholic parents, you don't want to belong to that we. Right? You want to be separate. You get a template. I got to do it on my own. But some part says, boy, I want to be a we. I want to have belonging. I want to have backup. And so they get an anxious attachment where they want to fight to lock love to make sure they get in a we and it stays there. Lock that puppy down. So she is attracted to somebody that she has the rights for. This is a real life couple I'm talking about to work with.
Right.
She'd been through 2 divorces in her 50s, both of them abusive, and she'd never felt she had partnership. She wanted a we. She falls in love with a man at a high school reunion who's just coming out of a 26-year marriage, and he has no right to create his experience, which means that she has no right to feel cherished and protected. He has no right to feel empowered. Now, what does that look like? In 26 years of marriage, he never once initiated sex with his ex-wife. That's a missing right to create. If you can tamp down a man's sex drive to that place where he never initiates, doesn't mean they didn't have sex, but she had to initiate. This is no right to create your experience. And early in life, he had a mother and father that really dominated him. You know, I talk about it in the book. Dad sends him off to a school knowing he knows it's the wrong bus, but he gets on anyways. I know best, son. No right to create your experience. Right? So the day comes when the ex-wife and the kid say, we don't want that new one at Christmas. He has no right to create his experience. In order to make everyone happy, he says, okay, that's fine. And he tells this woman he's newly engaged to, honey, you won't be at Christmas. What wound do you think that hit in her? No right to belong. Now, in other parts of her life, she's very important, and she comes after him. Oh, does she come after him? That missing wound is hit. And what does he get a feel? He gets a feeling of more disempowerment. Exactly what his missing right calls for. And now they are spiraling downward in this engagement. The more she tries to belong, and the more he feels disempowered, and they're just cycling downward. So now we can give them skills, but so long as there's danger all over the place for both of them. If they do these skills, it won't work. So we go and do the deep work, give him back a right to feel empowered with choice. Give him back a right to create his experience. So the next time the ex-wife says, no, she's coming along for the ride. She's belong, get used to it. She feels so included. My man has showed up. The hero has walked in, right? And then she gets behind him and empowers him. What does empowerment look like? He actually lost his job as head of IT. And she was a very, very well-off, a high-level, well-connected entrepreneur. And within a month, she had him another job. That's empowered. Now they circle up, they get married, they're happily married, and empowering each other in a great way. It's not just giving skills. Now we can look at pursuit withdrawal, but what flavor of pursuit withdrawal? I mean, that's the key. I mean, if you're listening, if you're a woman and you're listening, you think, this recipe doesn't quite taste right. It helps to know is it missing oregano or cumin or something like that. You just can't put the bay leaves in there and think it's going to work all the time.
Right. But it's a dynamic, and it can be a never ending back and forth without the realization that there are these issues. Now you talked about those rights, but before we get into those rights, let's maybe back up just a little bit and explain for our listeners the theory of attachment.
Okay. I want to say one thing I forgot to say.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll get into attachment. The key, working with couples that I really pointed out, the key client, if you guys were a couple, my real client would be right between your head, the we that's between you. My real client is the we. Show me a couple without a we and I'll show you a war, right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Now, so what my first move, after I figured out their missing rights, which relate to attachment, right? Then I show them that. And then I ask them, I say, so let's make the pattern the problem and not the partner. And now you can be teammates changing the pattern and not trying to change the partner. I will do what I can. Give me that,
Right.
And now they're teammates noticing the pattern, seeing how they can help each other. Now they've got empathy. Now they can say, I can see, honey, how that really, you don't belong when I do that.
And it's because of a simple awareness, right? You just brought in the awareness of these rights, and it's so empowering and so simple, yet we don't stumble upon it by ourselves. I mean, it's taken all this time for you to create this model that makes perfectly good sense.
That's right. And there's something empowering about the rights. And what it does, it builds in empathy. They start understanding each other. And if you can get them from making each other wrong to making the pattern wrong, you have set the relationship on an entirely different. That's what it does. And it builds in empathy, and it just lays in all the foundations you need right from the beginning. I do that within a couple of sessions. Sometimes I don't get enough of a feel in the first session. By the second or third, I know exactly how to where this couple needs to change. Now, attachment theory is just the science of how your brain is wired to love and be loved. And we know that from the time a child is 1 year old, they're geared to love in certain ways. One. So what tells a baby they're loved isn't story. It's not personal stories. It's, it's not logic. It's not logic. It's not beliefs. It's not even identity, right? No baby comes up to you and says, at one says, I'm an artist with a real flair for the impressionist.
Grow me.
They're not doing that. It's for feelings, is what I argue. And these feelings either make you feel secure in love. That's one love style where you're comfortable loving and being loved, depending and being loved, like Jackie Bailey over there has been married for 37 years, right? Or we can be anxious or avoidant, right? And I have been both in my life. So, and I hold good rapport with both. Those were the best deals at some point. Nobody's making them wrong, okay? And anxious is like there was love, not love. Love, not there. Something was intermittent, just enough, like the wood floor that comes up all the time and you just want to lock that thing down. So they have this fight response. I'm going to lock love down. Where were you last night? Why didn't you text me back into me? Do you still love me? Those, you get that. And they oftentimes drive people away because too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing.
Right.
And then there's the avoidance. You go, they never got responded to at all. They checked out because mom was checked out or dad was checked out. And so they look very emotionally mature, like, wow, what a mature little baby. But they're not expecting. They're on their own. And they are not comfortable being dependent on or depending on anybody. And therefore they become Mr. and Ms. unavailable, or they're emotionally dismissive. And it feels like if you're in a room with them, if marriage were a room, they're in the next building texting you. And these are the people that, if you're single out there, you wonder why somebody has texted you for 3 weeks or emailed you and can't meet you. Bingo, Yahtzee, we're talking avoidant.
Right.
Yes. So, and this, and this is the odd thing. The law of attraction from hell is the anxious and the avoidance attract each other. Their worst nightmares.
Say that again.
The anxious and the avoidant tend to attract each other in dating.
Oh, okay.
Each other's worst nightmare.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Now Now I like when you're talking to couples in the example that you shared. It sounds like when you help them to see that it's the pattern and not the partner, that the first thing you're doing is you're taking away the blame.
Yes.
Right? Not his fault, it's not her fault or whatever. It's just the way that we've been doing things incorrectly. And I think that's probably why the foundation of that works, because it's nobody's fault anymore.
Exactly.
But now we are going to fix it. We are going to take the necessary steps together to make this a better marriage for everybody. But also, going back to the example you shared, what about the extended family? How much does the extended family of each partner contribute to some of those problems, or does it make it harder to become a we, because we might be 30 people?
Did you see Gary's expression?
I love you. The securely attached, just where the sniff. Jackie, you have hit the $64,000 question. Virginia Satir, the great person who reformulated family and couples therapy, once made the wisecrack. Individual therapy is couples therapy is individual therapy in the dark. There was family therapy in the dark. You have two systems, whole family systems coming together. There's a bigger one than just individual rights. The other part of what I do is family systems. Now, what you get is you get rules for belonging. Of course, my rules are better than your rules, right? In the one psychologist, Bert Hellinger, said, you get these two sets of rules joining, right? And what you get is a mule called marriage. Now, what does that look like?
A mule.
Because these things really duel. For instance, one couple, they came to me, 30s. They came to me because they just had two young boys, 3 and 5, and they noticed that marriage that was 10 was dropping in marital satisfaction to about 5. This happens to 67% of couples. And the trick is, how do we not? And they said, we're afraid of the trend line. We want it to go back up. We're in a bear market. The love, right? And the thing is, what we found out is they both loved each other. And without the stress of kids, everything was good. But when time becomes a premium,
Mhm.
then the issues of connectivity. In his family, this man come from a family for 5 generations, no divorce, as committed a man as you would ever want, doctor, surgeon, and lo and behold, though, the rules in the family coming from his neck of the woods in Northern Europe was you don't express feelings. That's just not what you do.
Right. I got that one.
Express feelings. Now, that worked, but when you have had, little kids hanging on you all day and you've got feelings and you need to express feelings, and there you haven't had any women comfort, and you're dying for female company, someone will listen for you, and there's none available, and there he walks in the door and he's available and he can't share feelings. It feels really lacking to most women. Now the stressors have come up, and they have parlayed the one place that's the weak chink between them, the weak link. And so now she was, everybody's touchy-feely, everybody communicates a lot. And now and what do you mean? We don't talk about like that. We are here for we meet each other's needs. No, we share each other's feelings. Now we got 2 dueling systems of what love equals. So I had to go and give him a real right to have his feelings, a right to create his experience, and to say it's okay to play guilty in the family rules, that you can break the rules, where as a man, you don't have to be afraid of that thing called feelings. It's not a fire-breathing dragon. Face it and be the hero, right? And I gave him, and then when we worked that and he really felt safe, I said, I want you to get off the phone, and I want you to share 2 emotions with your wife. The next morning, I get a phone call, and it starts like this. Okay, what planet are you from, and where did you abduct my husband? She goes,
Yeah.
He shared feelings. What did you do to him?
Yeah.
And that was the key. Suddenly, that was the key between 5 and a trend line going down, and one that is going up. Within a couple of months, I get this cool email. She goes, thank you. Our marriage is wonderful. And now I know we'll be together when we're 85.
Does it happen that quick, Gary? I mean, is that pretty common once the realization of where the dysfunction is?
In this particular couple, it happened much faster because they had a pretty good solid. They're one of the few couples that said it's good, but we went better. Most couples wait 6 years before they see the first thing that's wrong, and by the time they come in, you got a little more work to do.
Right.
Okay, like the guy that doesn't change his oil, and then he's got a few more things to fix than an oil change, right? And most men do that. They would never treat their car the way they treat their relationship with their woman. Well, first time they hear a slightly different hum in that thing, well, we got to get that into the mechanic, right? But with women, they'll go, was that a clank? Oh, we'll strive on with this. A bumper falling off? Oh, we'll just put some masking tape on that.
You come stocked with some great metaphors. That's just amazing.
Now, so those couples, I will say, it takes a little longer, and yet it doesn't take years. That's the beauty of this work. If you change these deep feelings I talk about, it's you're safe, being welcomed with joy, and worthy and nourished, and cherished and protected, and empowered with choice. If you can give and receive those 4 feelings in an abundant and luxurious way, most people are going to feel love, because that's your original GPS for love. And it's easy. How many people can't track 4 feelings? It's easy. You just ask him, you ask yourself at the end of the day, how well did I make this woman today feel welcomed with joy?
Right.
That text message right in the middle of her conversation about her dying mother, I might not have done that so well. Or, oh, she asked for some support today. Oh, I did a lousy job telling her she was cherished and protected. Right. Oh, she wanted to consider remodeling. Oh, or he wanted to consider going on vacation. Oh, man, and I shut that down. I didn't do a very good job empowering with choice. It doesn't mean you agree, but when you track those feelings and then make a repair early. But you got to be comfortable with this. That's what the system's about, helping couples lavishly give each other the 4 feelings that tell you you're loved. And we've been running them since 1, and if we don't pay attention to them, nothing good happens in relationships, whether you're single or married.
Well, those 4 feelings, because the whole your book is really based on these 6 rights, and it's filled with great stories that help explain how these rights show up. And so, are the 4 feelings also part of those rights?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over the years, I started working with the rights, and I began to notice certain feelings were the ones that healed them. Okay. At first, I noticed that if you had not been had a right to exist, the feeling that would heal you was welcome with joy. It would be like balm, on an open sore. If you had no right to have your needs met, worthy, nourished, those feelings were like rain on an empty, dry desert. Right? If you didn't have a right, some version of the right to separate and belong, where you had either too much right to separate or not enough right to belong, or too much right to belong, I should say. Too much me or too much we. There's a Goldilocks for this one. Not so much missing. The feeling was cherished and protected. For men, it might have been respected, and someone's got my back. We don't use the word cherish as much, but it's the same thing. And then if you had a missing right to create your experience or to assert, the feeling was I never empowered, was what you were just hungering for. And then, the more I did the research with attachment, I realized these 6 rights, what would heal them. And then the day time, wait a minute, a 1-year-old child isn't running anything cerebral like the description I gave. They're just running the original feelings. And then I put together, the feelings we're given as a child by interactions give you the rights. They're like a coin. I mean, really are. They're like a coin. One side is a feeling, the reference feeling we get for love, and the other side is the right, the permission slip. So you get a feeling of welcome with joy. You get a full permission slip to be in your body, man. If you get a lot of worthy, and it's okay for the little one to ask and reach out for their needs. You get that full permission slip to reach out and have your needs met or make requests. If you get to be a me and empowering we, and mom's got your back and dad's got your back, but you still get to play by your toys by yourself unless you need support, and then they come over when you ask them to, but not when they can. They're not intrusive. They don't tell you to play with the truck when you want to play with a car. Those people get cherished and protected. And that feeling of cherished and protected gives them that feeling it's okay to be in me. Like when my son, when he was that age, he played this game. I will get at the top of the stairs and see if dad still runs track. He got the feeling of being very cherished and protected. And he did it on purpose. He go, and it was learning how cherished am I. Make no mistake about it. It wasn't just being pernicious. He wanted to see how much dad loved him. And it was okay. And it's a very good thing being a weak, right? Like the day we were at the zoo and he heard a lion and he was only 3. And he didn't want to be near me anyway. He was only going to be around. But the moment that lion roared, he come bounding from 20 feet away, jumped up in my arms, and said, up! Cherished and protected. We's a good deal, right? And if we get that feeling with the like emotion coaching, like you do with the children you're talking about, it's okay to have, what's your choice? What would you like? You feel it. Sometimes we are mean. And it's good to be kind too. It's okay to be strong and weak. Who knew that sidewalk could jump up and bite you like that? I mean, it's scared, right? All those, right? You get to be empowered with choice. And when you get all 4, then you get the 6th right to love and be loved. Then, you get all 4 feelings. Age 3, the brain adds on and says, man, I must be loved and lovable.
So Gary, this brings up a great point then. Yeah. And maybe it's not the purpose of your book, and maybe I'm off on a tangent here, but as we're talking about children, and children often have behavioral issues, are some of those bad behavioral choices by children because they're not having these feelings met? Is that a possibility? And can parents, learn that and change that enough and actually change a child's behavior, perhaps?
Oh, yes. These feelings and whatever they're doing is protest behavior. It's protest behavior. Or it's adapting, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that kid isn't doing anything, it's because they never felt part of the we as a teenager, right? Screw the we. You want to tell me what to do? Think again, right? Yeah. The definition of a parent is someone who was given, that my definition is someone who was made CEO of a life at the very beginning of the life, and then at 15 the board throws them off, fires them, and they spend the rest of their life trying to get hired back on as a consultant. And so really, if you want to be a consultant later on, you better pay attention to these 4 feelings. Like totally. This is honest God truth. That same couple I was telling you about, the 3 and 5-year-old, I had coffee cups with the 4 feelings on it, which I may make some more. And they brought sippy cups home, and they began to teach their children, these 2 young boys, the 4 feelings. They talk about it as separate, right? And then the day came when the 3-year-old grabs a truck and exercises the right to create his experience and whacks the 5-year-old across the head with the truck. To which the 5-year-old says, I don't feel very cherished and protected.
Oh.
Wham!
Now imagine what that young man is going to be like when he grows up and 20 years later, he is dating a young woman and he is tracking those feelings.
Right.
Huh.
Oh, this is going to be one very lucky woman, right? And it's likely he's not going to pick a woman that doesn't track them back, right?
Right.
That's the key. I've even seen, I had one couple, one man that got custody of his children back after a horrendous divorce in which she got custody, and after they were thoroughly screwed up, drops them off at the house and never comes back. Mm. Their attachment styles were extremely anxious, extremely avoidant. He said, he came to my workshop. He says, I'm working on secure love. Can you help me with the kids? So we came up with the plan. I adapted the sippy cup plan. and I said, okay, 4 feelings, 4 weeks a month, right? There, and if you're parents, you can do this. There's about 40 pages in the book that parents tell me, oh my God, you just made me a better parent. So this is how you roll with it. Mm-hmm. At supper, you talk about, for 1 week, welcome with joy. How did we do? What do you do? What happened today? Did someone miss it? Next week, worthy and nourished. 3rd week, cherished and protected. 4th week, empowered with choice. And you rinse and repeat for as long as it takes. Suddenly, they start calming down. He starts, it's okay to be part of a we. She starts calming down. And that after 5 months, he says, it's noticeable. We are tracking, and they are telling me, Daddy, when you said that to me, I didn't feel this. And I'm sorry. He makes repairs. Now we're doing emotion coaching, right? In the key of what it needs to be. And then the cool thing happened was one day they go to the school. I'm sorry about that. And
it's an important part.
Yes. You want me to turn it off real quick?
No.
Okay. So what happens is at about 5 weeks, 5 months, they go into they go into school, parent PTA meeting, and they're walking down and she goes, Daddy, that teacher doesn't do welcome to joy very well.
Oh.
Now, and I can honestly tell you that several years later, those kids are far more secure. Just noticing and making sure they got the same 4 feelings.
And it's that simple. It's not that simple.
For every child, if there's been extreme abuse, I'm not going to make that claim, but I will say that just discussing.
No, I get it.
Yeah. Yes, it's a huge thing. These 4 feelings kids get, everybody gets. If you can pay attention to it, you can increase your love. You can tell which couples, I just have to ask, 1 to 10, how well do you welcome each other, make each other feel worthy. You get a decent roadmap right there.
Yeah. So can this work that if, let's say one partner wants to see some changes, but the other partner is like, yeah, whatever, everything's fine. And that one
Typical,
partner,
right?
Yeah, never happens, but I'm just saying in case. Can that one partner begin to make those changes? Can he or she spend a week on welcoming with joy and hopefully see a change in their partner just because they're focusing more on those feelings themselves?
Oh, yes. And in fact, I've had multiple, usually women come to work on a relationship.
Yeah, that's typical, right?
It's typical. I'm ratting out our species.
Yeah.
But that's the way it rolls.
Yeah.
And I get why women get really frustrated. And this one couple, they came, he said, after one says, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't see this is going to work. Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, been there. And she's ready to divorce him. She continues to work. And then the day comes, she goes, well, wait a minute. Are you telling me that some of my actions are setting up for the very thing I don't like? Bingo, Yahtzee. If you can't pick a partner for a missing right, you'll prod them into it because you're always having the experience you have the rights to. Then when she started to change, he started to change. These are dueling. If you change one zig, the other one has to zig different.
Right.
And then the day came when they found she had an office, and I sent her some skill sets that I use, how to do this and how to do that, and she would leave them on the desk. And one day, she found out that he was walking into the desk and going, and then he was doing it. So then we started bootlegging change.
Nice.
To the relationship. We were leaving Reese's Pieces in the forest for him.
Well, let's drill down into that a little bit, especially with the me-we right? The right to feel cherished.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to highlight this a little bit because it's not telling you that I want to be we.
Mm-hmm.
It's empowering you to want to be we. Did I get that right?
Yes. It's more like the original right is it just feels safer being in a we, but you still get to be a me. The myth that we've been sold out there a lot by individual therapy, and the myth of radical American individualism is we are self-actualized creatures. I'll bet you did not self-actualize as a podcaster by just walking on and doing it all by yourself like the Marlboro.
I need the security of a co-host. I'm telling you right now.
And we just kind of noticed that you have a very supportive partner that I bet, every once in a while that she will tell you, oh, okay, it'll calm down. This thing will work out. And the opposite way, right? Oh, that mistake was just fine. We self-actualize and we better. So it's actually we actualization. Everything that's good that has come from somebody else. We did not do this alone. And so it's just a comfort zone knowing you deserve to have backup. It's okay being a we. Now, the point is, if someone pulls away from the we, at one point in time, it was not the best deal available to be in the we. The best deal available is to pull away. I was dealing with a couple that one time where he was constantly pulling away, very avoidant, and she was kind of finished with it. And I had this one little thing where I took two circles, a big rope, which I anchored. This is just me being me, right? And then there was a big circle for the we, and I put, and I had her put in it, right? And I had already done it with her, and I had him standing in the we, right? And he got that. Yeah, this feels comfortable. Then I put him over there in a circle in which she begins to step into him, just totally emphasize. And his head goes back. He turns white. The idea of someone truly stepping into him, what's going on? He says, oh my God. He says, I'm scared to death at this moment.
Wow.
What's going on? What's going on? He says, all I can see is this image in my mind of when my mother, one day, every time she would step into me to understand me, she would just take me out and put my older brother in because he was more impressive. He was more likable. I said, so that's why you fight for the me. You don't want to get swapped out. And I had to do the work right there on the spot. I don't usually do this deep work, but in this instance I did. And then he was able to we gave him safety with being part of this woman who just went, and she did a great job, and they got used to it. They both came back the next day, we want to do that again. And we did it again. And now, for the first time, he is coming in and saying, you know, I realize that there are moments that I don't protect you. I'm just too much about myself. And then it comes out, and and now we're building a we. But until we found out the exact flavor of why the we was not the best deal. Now it's safe. We had to take that old feeling. Is there any cherished and protected in being swapped out for your brother? Hardly, right? That was the missing feeling. No one cherished him for what he did. No wonder a we is where you get sucked out of being yourself. That was the template when we changed that. Now we could add empathy. Otherwise, empathy is just a doorway for intrusion. So, so you could give all sorts of emotion coaching, but emotion coaching was more like emotion swapping. Why can't you feel like your brother, right? So at that point in time, you just got to find that moment that we give him back a right to be cherished and protected. And for the first time, because he has the right, he can now notice it when his wife's doing it, and then take it in, where before he would fend it off. Now things are moving much better, and now eventually they become a very good, putting it all in the present tense, because I want people to get the feeling for what it feels like when you're in that moment. Okay.
And so, Gary, is it your experience or your understanding that then it doesn't, it is no longer a have to, it turns into a want to?
Our system knows these rights we come born with. We know the organism at some level knows I have a right to take in nutrients and have a right to have my needs met. No amoeba says, I don't know if I have a right to receive nutrients today. They don't do that. The lungs never say,
no air.
Take in some air today. No, that's really bad, right? It's not how it works. So what we know is some part knows we have this right. And
nice.
The brain will take that better deal if we just find the safety, the flavor of safety. And it's different for everybody. And that's the beauty about these rights. That you give them back the rights, these original feelings, then the skills go easier and there's less resistance.
Oh my gosh, we just have about 5 minutes left. And I want to encourage the listeners to go and check out Gary's book. I have to imagine that the three of us today have enticed you to explore some more. It's a really cool book. Safe to Love Again. You can find it on Amazon. Get it.
He's got a movement going on, right?
That's what I wanted to talk about.
The love movement, Gary.
Gary, what is this love movement?
The love movement is we need a movement where we know these giving and receiving these four feelings are important in every aspect of our life. If I go out to Whole Foods or Starbucks, I try to give them. I always try to say, "Good morning, Dolores," or whatever. That's welcome, right? And especially with dating apps, I'm tired of hearing the singles come in and say, it is so brutal when they text you forever, or they break up with you and you're getting ghosted. This does so much damage to our attachment systems. We can be kinder and nicer. The anonymity of the internet does not give us license to lay waste to each other's attachment systems. So the next person has a damaged goods. And what we're getting, if someone did it to our person, now we're getting it. This cycle of giving damaged goods to each other and then getting them back is why dating has become a monstrosity out there. We can do better. And what I like to do is invite everybody to think about, how do we give each other the sippy cup thing of four feelings? It's going to take some awareness. I don't have a right to make someone feel unwelcomed and unworthy by ghosting them or anything like that. If we can do this and more, what if we did this politically? What if we could welcome and make the earth worthy of actually being considered our partner in life? What if politicians stopped, what we have at the moment is we have a lot of politics based on lousy attunement, not listening, not making people feel cherished, not feeling. And now we have an anxious country and we have an anxious world. What if we did more and more of this? What if we started a movement? Then love could be, we really could have something as Zayadislik as attachment, secure government that governs us in a secure relationship with our world. And dating could become more, what if I could say, you know, we've gone on 3 dates and you're a wonderful woman and I cherish this and this about you, but I don't think you're the one. And I want you to know that there's a man out there that truly loves you. Will love you for all that and more. What if we did that instead of ghost? You know, that's what I'm saying. It's a better world if we could live. And I live by these 4 feelings. No one's perfect. I literally told my son, I said, the worst part about writing this book is I'll spend the rest of my life learning to live up to it. And that's fine with me. Yeah. That's fine with me.
Very cool. Well, we're going to be looking for more from Gary and his love movement. Do you have a Facebook page yet? Let's get this ball rolling.
I do. Basically, I have a Facebook page. It's Gary D. Salyer. And
I mean for the love movement, though, Gary.
The love movement, well, basically it's at GarySalyer.com. Okay. GarySalyer.com. You sign up for these things called love notes, you know, and there's also, you know, a Gary D. Salyer Facebook page. But the love notes, and then, you know, if you get the book, there's also another page of free gifts that invites you to a Facebook group and all that good stuff. So GarySalyer.com, or if you buy the book on Amazon, there'll be a link in there for places where you can get resources to join them.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us again today, Gary. Did you have fun?
All you need is love. Da, 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 da.
Man, I love karaoke. How'd you know that? I got to tell you, I love you guys, man. You're like my faves. And I just love the energy, man.
Cool. Well, we're going to have you back then we'll make this a regular deal.
Let's do it. I like it. I like being that penny that comes back.
Yeah.
Jackie, quickly, we only have 1 minute. Our guest next week is Rose Dedan. She is an animal shaman.
Yeah, she's a shamanic healer, energy healer. She's a Reiki master teacher. She's got some cool skills, and she works a lot with animals. And she's had a personal connection with me and my dog who passed away of cancer. So I'm excited to speak with her again. So
very cool. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please tell your friends, the website, the YouTube channel. We have a whole bunch of things, too many moving parts. But Jackie and I enjoy bringing you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. Lastly, I would really appreciate it if you made it a great day, because it's a choice. Bye-bye. Where's my arm? Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
And we're done, I think. Thanks, Gary.